On CTV News tonight, an announcement on AMI Stadium is put off for a third time, and two of Christchurch's worst hit schools are set to move back to their sites. Welcome to CTV News, I'm Emily Cooper. An announcement regarding the future of AMI Stadium has been put off again for a third time. V-Base was due to make an announcement today, but the Christchurch City Council has further delayed the announcement, saying more time is needed. Pete Smith has been on the case. I spoke to him about it earlier today. Okay, Pete, we've been on a bit of a journey with AMI Stadium, haven't we?
We have. It's been 8 weeks, Emily, and a lot of frustration.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You spoke to Brian Pearson last night, didn't you? What did he have to say? Well,
that was sort of the culmination of it all in the end, because we've had 4 appointments with Brian to come in on Pete Smith host and explain to us what's happening at AMI Stadium. Now, we're the first to recognise they've probably been to hell and back with the stadium.
It's been a horrific time, we know that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the final straw probably was taking the World Cup away. The Crusaders, yes, they had to just manage it, but the World Cup going, and that's devastating. But where the breakdown to me seems to be is that nobody really recognises that it's in fact us that own the stadium. Now, if this had been privately built, then it's not our scrap. You know, we feel sorry for them, but it's not our scrap. This is in fact owned by ratepayers of Christchurch. We're saddled with it for at least 30 more years, where we've got to pay for it. They've had obviously horrific damage, and it's been ongoing. But I was always taught that if you don't say anything about something, then innuendo and gossip just takes over, and ill-informed it is too. The rumours are rife, aren't they? You and I have heard them.
Yeah.
In the last 8 weeks we've heard all kinds of stories. We've tried to clear it up. You've been sent press releases saying it's going to be announced such and such, such and such, and they've been blocked.
Yep.
And that really is just frustrating, isn't it?
It's frustrating. We know that there's been a report. We know the engineers have been in there. Just clear the rumours up, come out, tell us what's going on.
It's now been absorbed into the council, and the worry with that is they're on holiday, for God's sake. I mean, how does that work? Does everything just shut down? The council's now on holiday, so where will that report sit in the end? When will we ever get it? And it's been frustrating for Emily and I, just really trying to trace it through. All we want, even if they'd drip-fed us, some of the stuff would have been all right, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, Brian said that it's now under the auspices of the Christchurch City Council. No further communication would come from V-Base, that we now have to approach the Communications Department of the Christchurch City Council, who've got hundreds of other things on their mind. I'm not dismissing that. We're no clearer now than when we started.
No, and what do you think is going to come out of this announcement and that will be made by the council?
Well, when? That's the first thing. What's the time frame? When will we know something? And I think it's bleak. Brian did say last night that there is now no insurance on the place at all. That's gone. It is insured to about, I think he said, 120 million. He is keen, but that doesn't mean anything else. He is keen really to rebuild the thing, probably in the ilk of the Dunedin Stadium, of the Wellington Cake Tin. He did say last night that he'd love to see it with a provision for when money becomes available to be able to put a roof on it. I think the size will be a lot smaller because we don't have a World Cup. We don't need a stadium that size. It'll be a rectangle rather than the way it is now, where you're too far away from the ground. So there's all that excitement of what could come out of a rebuild. But one of the rumours that's really doing the traps at the moment is it will never be rebuilt on that site. Yeah. So where to? I mean, I think they've done well with QE2. They've told us QE2 is munted and they don't know where they're going to go. Now, that's all we want. That's honest, up front, everybody knows. Why the mystery with AMI? And the longer it goes on, the more we think, you and I, is there something we're covering? You know, I see in the press release today it says there's no skeleton. Well, I don't know about that. Sue Wells, who's taken charge of this thing, says, I don't know enough about it. Well, nor do we. Yeah. So we'll just keep on the hunt, I suppose, but it's really a sad state of affairs for ratepayers to not know.
Definitely. And CTV News will bring you all the latest updates as we hear it. The government has announced more support for Canterbury mental health services. The move sees more resources aiming to support quake-stricken Canterburyans, with an extra $1.5 million in funding from the Canterbury District Health Board. This will include extended GP consultations, increased counselling support and a new specialist earthquake response team established to help people cope with ongoing effects of the earthquakes and aftershocks. Associate Health Minister Dr Jonathan Coleman says that more people are seeking help and are feeling exhausted and drained by the ongoing stress. Last week, the government announced it was pledging a special payment of up to $16 million to the CDHB for earthquake-related costs in the 2010-2011 financial year. And it's been announced that the Palms shopping centre in Shirley will remain closed until September. The Palms has had a team of professional advisors reviewing the building following the June 13th earthquakes to determine additional repairs required. These reviews are now complete and the final scope of remedial works is known. The centre will recommence trading on Thursday the 8th of September. However, Farmers, Kmart and Reading Cinemas will be open at a later date, which is yet to be announced. And the search continued today in North Canterbury for a possum trapper missing since Wednesday. 25 police and Landsar personnel have been deployed today, including 2 Landsar and 2 police dog teams in the search for 83-year-old Alan Hill. Conditions in the area today are extremely windy again, meaning a Royal New Zealand Air Force Iroquois helicopter could not be used. It will remain on standby in Christchurch. The area today is able to be accessed only by teams on foot. Coming up after the break, some of Christchurch's worst hit schools are told when they can move back to their sites. Welcome back. Shirley Boys High and Avonside Girls High School are both in the orange zone, but they've both been told they can move back to their sites on a temporary basis. It's been announced that displaced Shirley Boys High School and Avonside Girls High School will return to their home sites. Education Minister Anne Tolley has confirmed the schools will temporarily return to their home sites. However, the Education Minister emphasises the fact that this is a temporary measure and that the Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Authority has only agreed to the sites being used for up to 2 years. Both schools border orange zones, so it's uncertain whether rebuilding can occur. The return, which was originally planned for the 1st of August for Shirley Boys High but has been pushed back, also depends on there being no more quakes that might affect the safety of these sites. Students will use a combination of existing usable classrooms and relocatable classrooms, with Shirley Boys expected to return to the site later this year. Shirley Boys is currently co-locating at Papanui High School. Avonside Girls is set to return at the start of the 2012 school year and is currently sharing a site with Burnside High School. Avonside Girls Principal Sue Hume says that integration with Burnside was the best option for the situation, as it has allowed the school community to stay together, but that students have definitely been affected.
It's been going well. Clearly it's affected students because the school day has changed for them and they have to travel across the city to get to school. So instead of the normal school day, their school day starts at 1 o'clock, but they're getting buses across the city from 11 o'clock onwards to get to school. There is a shortened school day for them, so there's pressure on their learning because each day there's an hour less of learning time for them. In a crisis situation, which we were faced with after 22nd of February, yes, it was the best option for us. Having said that, we're really looking forward to the next phase that has now been confirmed for us.
Mrs Hume will be having a meeting with the Ministry of Education tomorrow. She says the big news has already been confirmed, that they can now move back to the school for the start of the 2012 year, but tomorrow's meeting will still bring some clarity.
What tomorrow's meeting will do for me is to just step out for me the steps in that process to get us back on site.
She says they're still uncertain about the future of the site.
2 of our building blocks have to be demolished to allow us to go back. We have other significant buildings that are able to be used, but the demolition has to take place to allow our new build temporary classrooms and relocatables to be put on site. With that in place, then we can explore what the best permanent option will be, and that will depend on what the land is able to sustain, and I guess there are issues like where the population is based and so on. But we're focusing now on next year getting our school operating back in our community for our girls and having a normal full school day. And we'll look forward to contributing to discussions about what the best permanent option will be. But we actually need information to allow that discussion to take place and to be an informed discussion.
The school hopes to explore a more permanent option and hopes to make a decision about the future of the school soon, once they get more information and depending on what the outcome of the land is. In more school news now, work on removing the top of the main dome of the Cathedral of the Blessed Sacrament is progressing well, which means the Catholic Cathedral College will be able to regain full functionality in all its buildings. The college is having to return to its restricted site on August the 1st, but work to secure the entire unstable rear section of the cathedral will hopefully be completed by September the 16th, as this will allow the school to use all of its buildings. 3 of the college's key buildings, which comprise of 12 classrooms plus a library, sit within the full zone of the rear of the basilica and therefore cannot be used. Deconstruction would then allow time for the schools to have 2 key blocks ready for the start of the 4th term. The cross that sat atop the dome and the copper cladding have all been removed, and now work is continuing on removing the wooden shell of the dome. It's hoped that all will be removed by the end of this week. Cathedral management is working with Sarah, the Christchurch City Council and Heritage Protection on this work. It's hoped an army robot that will be used to look inside the cathedral will be able to provide better resolution video of the earthquake damage. The army robot arrives tomorrow morning. And businesses all over Christchurch are struggling to their feet in reopening. One such story is the Edgware fruit and vegetable shop that have literally opened up outside where they were.
A few weeks ago they went from this to this. Having been told they could no longer operate from the old premises, they procured a couple of wire gates, a tent-type gazebo, and laced a tarpaulin onto the side to keep out the weather, and they were back in business. No FPOS because there's no phone line, but the till works thanks to power coming from Peter Timms, the butcher next door. With respect to the cold conditions, well, while it's tough on the staff, it's great for the produce.
You know, feels quite lucky is because it happened in the winter. I can stay outside without a fridge. So, but you know, if the thing happened in the summers, I cannot do anything.
And it seems the public are responding to the pioneer determination being shown.
Lots of people is coming back. Local people is happy we stay here.
It'll be like this for at least 3 months. Makes you proud of that Cantabrian spirit, doesn't it?
Coming up after the break, your local weather. Welcome back. Pete Smith hit the streets today in Street Talk to ask how we're feeling about the uncertainty surrounding AMI Stadium.
What is it with the now defunct V-Base and the Christchurch City Council wanting to keep a code of silence over our stadium AMI? We've been on this case a long time now. We know there are reports that exist. We've been awfully close to them being released, but somehow they want to bring that shield down again and not allow us to know anything about it. I think it's an absolute debacle, that's all it is. It's our stadium, we own it, we're paying for it for many, many years to come, and yet we're not allowed to know the true state of it. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and all it does is cause gossip and innuendo about the stadium. Come clean, guys, it's not good enough. That's the street question today. What do Canterburyans feel about their stadium?
Well, we don't know much, but you don't get told much about it.
That's right. Why aren't we told?
Because we're not informed what's going on.
Yeah, and it's not good enough, is it?
No, it's not.
I mean, the thing is, it's our stadium.
It's our stadium.
You're paying for it.
We pay, taxpayers pay for it. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what do we do about it?
Well, we really haven't got a say, have we?
Well, we should have, though.
We should have, yes, we definitely should.
Yeah. What are they trying to hide?
Oh, we don't know.
See, if they don't tell us, then we start to invent things, don't we?
That's right. You work it out. You start thinking all these different things yourself. What's going on with it?
So
they
you
reckon
agree
the
with
ground? Yeah, I do agree with you entirely.
Well, as ratepayers, we could make a request under the Official Information Act for that type of information, which would probably be delayed by a period of time.
Yeah. It's a disgrace though, isn't it?
Would I go so far as saying it's a disgrace? I'd say it's not the best outcome at the moment, but given the circumstances which we're faced with at the moment.
I don't know, it could be a matter for insurers, and I don't know if the insurers entirely know what's happening yet. It would be nice to know, and fair that we know.
Now you see they've dissolved V-Base, so that arm's gone. Now it goes into the council. We might never find out.
I've no idea why we've been kept in the dark. You only get the information that you're given, aren't you?
Yeah, but we're being drip-fed nothing.
Oh, I can't answer any of those questions, really.
Well, you're paying for it.
Am I?
Well, you're a ratepayer, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's your stadium.
Yes.
Yeah, wouldn't you like to know what the state of it is?
I'm more interested in knowing what's going to happen to the repairs on my house than anything.
I have thought, why haven't they done something about doing it up? They haven't even done anything to start doing it up.
Well, it might be worse than we think.
Well, I can't understand. It's a brand new stadium.
Yeah.
I can't understand why it's in the condition it's in. You take the Crusaders, they've travelled 100,000 kilometres to play bloody football.
Yeah.
And then they wonder why the poor buggers lost the other night.
Somebody's a bit slow in telling us, isn't it?
Or they don't want to tell us.
Maybe you're right.
Now, what they don't realise is you're paying for it for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
You're a ratepayer.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Should we know?
Of course, there's a lot of things we should be doing here. There's a lot of things I don't agree with, but we don't know what's going on behind the curtains there somewhere, you know.
No, we don't. All the reports are out, but they won't tell us.
Yeah, well...
You want to know?
I want to know, yeah.
How bad do you know AMI Stadium is?
I know it's pretty bad.
How do you know?
Just from the TV, really, that I've seen.
Why haven't we heard anything?
I'm not really too sure. I mean, there's a lot of people worrying about their houses and other things, really. Yeah, I'd like to know. I mean, especially next year or whenever the rates come in, they'll be raking them up. So, as well as insurance, so it's all going to be increasing, and now my pay isn't going up.
Why don't I know?
Yeah.
No.
Well, no Bucker's telling you.
No.
What do you know about the state of AMI Stadium right now?
Well, it's got a lot of liquefaction, and apparently the stand has got a wee bit of cracks in it down the bottom and so forth.
See, you used an important word there, didn't you? Apparently. We don't know, do we?
No, we don't tell you much.
Do you know how bad it is?
No, I don't.
Why not?
I don't know if too many people have been in there to have a look, have they?
Not too many people have found out, have they? Oh, that's the problem. We should know, shouldn't we, how it is?
Oh, I think there's probably a big list of things for people to look into.
As far as ratepayers are concerned, yes, we do deserve some sort of information on it, yes.
Yeah. If they don't tell you anything, that's when the rumours start, isn't it?
Yes.
And nothing good comes out of that?
Nothing ever does.
No.
Because people will talk, irrespective of how much information you've got, they're still going to say, this is what I think is happening.
Yeah.
I would like to see a wee bit more information. Okay, perhaps I'm not as well informed as I should be as far as QE2 goes, but with AMI Stadium, considering the World Cup, all they've said is that the games aren't playing there.
So there we are. It's pretty much as we thought, isn't it? People are in the dark, and if people are in the dark, that really is a recipe for trouble. And I think that's what's going to happen over AMI if somebody doesn't take the thing by the horns and say, right, this is where we're at with AMI Stadium, because it's not good enough, we need to know.
Canetta Knight spoke to Dr Dean Sutherland on City Life about the latest grant for the University of Canterbury's study of communication and autism.
The funding came through from the Marsden Fund through the Royal Society, came through at the end of last year, but we've been a little bit delayed here in Christchurch, so we're just commencing the study now.
So what's the reason for studying autism?
Well, there's a lot of children with autism out there. 1 in 150 children have autism, so it's a very prevalent disability among young children. And they lead very difficult lives, and families with children with autism have very many challenges in raising these children. So we're looking at communication aspects of autism and hoping to lead to some really positive outcomes for these children and their families.
Okay, well let's just look at what autism actually is.
Autism, I guess, is a developmental disability. It's, as I said, very common, 1 in 100 or 1 in 150 children. So most schools in New Zealand have children with autism. These children have problems communicating. In fact, one of the first signs is that these children don't develop speech and communication skills like most other children do. So problems in social skills, problem relating to other people, problem communicating, and often they have quite stereotypical or repetitive behaviours that are very unusual.
Okay. Can you find out the reason where autism comes from?
That's a subject of great debate, scientists and media and so forth. It's commonly accepted there's probably a combination of environmental and genetic reasons for autism, but actually pinpointing what exactly causes autism is still an unknown at this stage.
Okay. So, sorry, what are so it's 1 in 100 or 150, and that's in New Zealand, or is that worldwide?
That's an international figure.
Okay.
And there's no reason to suspect that New Zealand's any different from those international statistics.
Okay. And is it easily picked up, like, say, for example, by the time a child is 5, will the parents and the teachers know that a child is autistic?
Certainly by age 5 it would be fairly obvious if a child had autism. These days you can typically pick up some early signs around age 1 to 1.5 years. There's some signs or warning signs that children may be at risk of developing autism, things like responding to their name, which typically most 1-year-olds will do. Children with autism don't tend to respond to their name. Pointing is another thing that children with autism have difficulty with. Young children around 1 year of age start pointing to things to bring adults' attention to things in their environment, and children with autism have difficulty with that. So there's some of those early signs that would be good to get checked out and to keep an eye on children, particularly as they're starting to develop their language and communication skills.
And that's CTV News. I'm Emily Cooper.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.